team fights. It can be super nice. And my big issue is now you give JDG the option to take away the Jinx if you want to. You can still pair it with something like the Lulu, and even the Leona if you really want to, or just go towards like, hey, we'll ROM, super safe, we'll play it out fine. It means that FPX will probably go back towards something like the Aphelios just to pair it with the Thresh, but I would have preferred to see the Jinx and then always have the opportunity to take a Thresh or something next time.
Yeah, always got the option for your jungler here on the next rotation as well. So Aphelios, maybe Xin South with Beichuan, something along those lines. Is JDG considering the Lulu here? And while it does pair exceptionally well with the Jinx, it can be a little bit of a rough lane against the Thresh.
Yeah, especially if you get that attention that we're talking about from Beichuan. There's always the option for Beichuan to go towards something like the Jarvan here as well, with little repositioning tools available for the Jinx. You can always go towards the Jarvan to set that up. Or as you said, xiaolaohu, super good against the Jinx just because you deny all of that damage from the Jinx with that ultimate and kind of just nullify her for a lot of the team fights. So we'll have to see exactly what the plan is. I don't think they'll go towards the Grave. Oh, they actually are.
Oh.
Wow, I'm really surprised that they're prioritizing the Graves. I mean, can play that for Beichuan, right? But more than likely going towards xiaolaohu in the top lane. But it just feels really strange here that you're prioritizing the top lane so early.
Yeah, I have to say, I mean, there is an argument to be made that it's a flex pick, right? Maybe trying to bait and then get, send that to the jungle. But it's certainly been a top lane pick so far this split. And now a Kennen. This is weird.
The reason I don't like this is, for FPX is, okay, now ban junglers for JDG, right? You get first pick on jungle. So for JDG, taking the top lane matchup is perfectly fine, because they're just going to go, right, well, we're going to ban away anything that's annoying, keep xiaolaohu open and take that for ourselves. So get rid of Jarvan, get rid of maybe Viego or Sin. Never mind, they're not listening to me because it goes straight towards the chase. But I felt like you could just take your super strong jungle pick here and kind of put Beichuan onto the back foot. And maybe they're believing that this Graves is actually the jungle role. But I'd be kind of surprised. But either way, we're actually seeing FPX banning away the junglers, going, hey, look, we don't want xiaolaohu. And we want to make sure that our Aphelios can deal damage. Maybe they actually do go towards something like a Lee Sin as well, because Kanavi, very strong Lee Sin back in the day. And I don't think you really want to let him get his hand on it.
Yeah, we do have Victor available as well. I'm just starting to, I'm stepping a bit ahead. I'm getting ahead of myself here, Dagda. But I'm looking at this FPX comp and I'm thinking, okay, if this Graves does end up top lane and we have an AD jungler, well, we need some AP in this squad. And then start thinking about what can go in that mid lane, what's going to get the most damage per second out, because they're really going to need some kind of damage dealer to come out for that mid lane. It is going to be a Lee Sin ban, though. I think it's a Graves jungle, Dagda. I think it's got to be.
I mean, you could also go with something like the Talon if you really wanted to. In that jungle, we've seen it come through a couple of times, but I think for JDG anyway, like, you've got your AP top laner here. I think for Yagao, you've got to play basically any champion that you want to go towards here, right? You can play towards side lane if you want to with the Ryze here and kind of play towards early stage, which is the choice they're going to go for, but you still got a pretty strong team fight, and it just provides more lockup for the Jinx and a bit of appeal too for the Jinx in the fights as well. Beichuan covering the Viego here for the jungle, so it looks like it is going to be the Graves top. Can also, as we say, go back towards things like the Talon. We've seen the Zed from SFM and stuff, but it's weird that we're still getting down to this far for FPX, and now you're only getting the jungle lock in. For Gori, I think he goes back to basics. I think it's the Victor here. Like, you're totally fine. You can just wave clear if you want to, or you can go over towards the Twisted Fate or the Galio to follow up. I'm not a big fan of the Twisted Fate, just because I still think Ryze gets such a strong matchup there. Whereas you can try and play through the mid jungle with the Galio and actually try to play aggressive towards the Yagao.
We need to see a Clapio build though here. We need to see some damage, because again, that is the only AP threat on this squad, so I'm a little concerned on that front. The side of FPX, but over to JDG, they're going to finish this comp out. They've got their pick of the litter when it comes to junglers. Whoever they want to take into Viego is going to be fine. And I mean, if with a Jarvan, with Ryze, Kennen, Jinx, that's a hell of a team fight that JDG are building for themselves, bro.
Yeah, it's such a strong team fighting composition. The ability to set up for the Kennen engage alongside Kanavi is going to be strong. You've got a ton of ways of just like buying space for Hope and Missing on that back line. But honestly, when you look at FPX's comp, right, not a huge amount of threat for the Jinx. So Hope and Missing kind of getting away scot-free with a lot of the Thresh missing. Hope should still be in a really good spot to carry these fights. And it feels like for FPX, a lot of their strengths is going to be trying to play through side lanes, right? Using the fact that Gori can try and move in, maybe look for picks alongside Hong, and Beichuan with Gori following through. And xiaolaohu, as he scales into this, should be able to win out on that side lane push against the mini metas.
Yeah, my only concern with that, though, is we've seen a couple of teams try and play side lanes a little bit this split. And pretty much every time, whoever has the team that just wants to group as 5 and hit you in the face, well, they're getting knockouts every single... These haymakers, man, they're hitting hard. I'm starting to lean JDG's way a little bit just off the back of the draft. But in terms of the actual teams themselves, I think so far FPX have been more impressive. So whether you judge based on draft or based on the team's history, I think that's down to you guys at home. But right now, I'm leaning the way JDG.
And I agree with you, right? They feel like they have a ton of early game plays that they can make. Kanavi played through mid with Yagao, roam down towards bot side. You've already got Hope Missing with full push there. You can get early dragons off of bot mid push, and then you can force those team fights, which is what JDG are looking for. So I think JDG definitely have the tools. We just have to see if they can construct the early game that they really want.
They're going to construct it. We'll have to see whether or not they've got their builder's license. Do you get a license for building? I don't know.
Look, if you can get a license,
because if they're not licensed, we're in trouble.
License, you know?
Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see how they do with a bit of brickwork. They've got to build this win for themselves. Don't know where I'm going with that one, but definitely going to be an interesting one. And I have to remind everyone as well that we very much have somewhat of a veterans versus not rookies. Rookies isn't quite the right word for this FPX squad, but like you've got Lwx on there, who is obviously very. The rest of the team, very little experience behind them, and then you look towards JDG. I mean, Missing's been around a while. Yagao, Kanavi, 369. These guys have been in the LPL for years, and they've been at the top of the LPL as well. So there's definitely, on just sheer experience, JDG have it hands down. But in terms of what we've seen this split so far, it doesn't feel that way.
No, it really doesn't. JDG have been a little bit all over the place, but again, I think they have a good starting point in this game, right? Hope Missing how cool push boss. Try and use that back to set up the dragons. You got pushing mid for Yagao. Let's make these early plays happen. But Missing taking a bit of a worse for wear trade on the bot side, and still should be fine though to be able to get the shit.
Yeah, and ultimately when you're playing these kinds of lanes, using your pots early to try and find the priority ends up becoming the meta, certainly in the LPL. I don't know about the other leagues, but we pretty much always see level 1, level 2 trades in our bottom lanes. And that's a heavy level 1 trade in favor of Yagao with the mid lane. Gori, not having a fun time on the Galio so far.
And the interesting part is that both junglers actually start on the top side. So both of them are going to make their route down towards this bot lane. And it feels like if Kanavi is going to try and play off of Hope Missing, maybe they can try and look for some sort of dive. But Beichuan will be there to try and facilitate. And definitely with the slower clear from Kanavi, I'm surprised to see him going for this full clear, right? Oftentimes you kind of see like 3 camp start into some sort of gamp for the Jarvan just because of how slow the clear is relative to things like the Viego.
Yeah, definitely the case. It does make his way very slowly through the jungle. And I will say, on the point of potential dives versus potential ganks, Hung thought he was going to use his basic ability flash there for a second. His Missing and Hope have to back away a little bit. It does feel sometimes a little difficult to gank for lanes like Lulu Jinx where they don't have any initial setup themselves, so Kanavi's going to have to do a lot of the work. He is in the brush. Beichuan nearby, he's in the river, but he's not actually down on this bottom side for now. He's looking for the crab himself. But Kanavi, maybe disconnected. He was chilling in that bush for a while, and now we've got to pause. Not especially sure. We'll have to wait and see once we hear from production what's going on there. But I mean, so far, so good for both sides. Bit of a CS lead up in that top lane. I'm curious. I feel like we're being teased here, Dagda. We've got Kanavi waiting in the bush in the bottom lane. It's like I've just watched the teaser trailer for a great movie, and then they've dropped, coming out 2024. It's like, come on, man.
I think the worst part as well is that there's actually a question mark ping onto the bush where Kanavi is standing, which makes me think that, you know, maybe there's a slight chance that they have an inkling here for FPX that he's going to be standing in that. So unfortunately, a lot of this time I think going to be wasted from Kanavi, especially because you've already got the push coming through on the bot side for Jinx. She completely cleared out the back minion, so that way he's going to shove in, slow down the ability for the gank. Maybe if they were actually looking for it, he could have tried to wrap around behind them, but now you're just kind of putting yourself behind on the pacing. Viego is going to take that bot lane scuttle. So honestly, I think for Kanavi, bit of a swing and a miss here, unless he's just looking to successfully crash that wave in the bot lane.
Yeah, tripping over your tongue a little bit. Apparently, FPX are also tripping over their tongues. They're having a bit of an audio issue. I believe Hung, the one having the issue. You can see, trying to get that fixed on the screen right now. So hopefully everything will be fine and dandy. Everything will be resolved shortly. We'll get back into the game. But certainly with Kanavi, maybe what happened, he heard Kanavi rustling the brush and he thought it was like audio interference, but actually it's the you know, Kanavi forgot to run the dead silent perk. When he was setting up his runes, he forgot to put dead silent on, so now everyone can hear his footsteps. Bit of a disaster. And it looks like players getting ready. Everybody suddenly sat up and shook their hands out a little bit and got ready, so I think we might be about to go back.
Yeah, I'm laughing. It's just like, yeah, instead of Hung playing like regular League of Legends, he's in VR mode, so he can actually hear the runes and knows exactly what's going on. But I do think here, like, Kanavi is sitting. I think it'd be kind of cool, to be honest. I mean,
is it like first person perspective? I'd be down.
I'd assume it's first person. I would assume it's first person, right? Like, and then it would actually make like ganks and stuff far more terrifying because you actually don't know where it's coming from, so you gotta look 360 at all points in time.
You think playing AD carry is scary just in the game now? Try it VR. Rengar just appears out of nowhere and one-shots you. Evelyn appears out of nowhere and one-shots you. I mean,
it's like those creepy games like Phasmophobia, right? Where it's like nothing's happening, you think you're all fine and dandy, and then suddenly Rengar claws are on both sides of your face.
Hey, I will say, especially in lower elo, people would be like, your AD carry would be much less likely to face check if they were playing VR. That is for sure. When you're the one actually physically face checking, it's a different story entirely. Yeah, we'll have to wait. That's
wonder,
coming out 2024.
You know the joke of like Garen is always in the brush. That's where it gets really interesting. Like, how do you do that? It's like you walk into the bush and just Garen is just like pops up on your screen in front of you.
That's what I don't know if you've heard of the phrase "dude potential." It's one of my favorite things. So this is from like season 1 or season 2. There was this video of some Riot. I can't even remember who it was, honestly. But he was basically explaining the concept of dude potential, which is how likely is there to be a Garen in the bush that I'm about to face check? And it was basically just the game was so new that concepts like checking your minimap regularly were not popular concepts yet.
Yeah.
And so he was like, as you're about to face check a brush, you have to check the dude potential, right? Well, yeah, it's certainly a low elo, certainly in my games. But you basically just count the icons on the minimap. And if there are 0 icons on the minimap, then there is a 5 dude potential in that bush. Because there could be up to 5 people in there. If you can see 4 people, the bush has 1 dude potential. So I still think that phrase is amazing. I think that's the best way to think about face checking. But nobody's ever heard of it. I reference this all the time. Nobody's ever seen this video.
I mean, you're just a boomer, man. Turn 30, it all goes downhill. People don't.
I haven't turned 30.
You're just not hip and down with the kids.
I have not turned 30. I'm 29. All right, we're back. I don't think I'm a boomer. I'm just an old millennial, okay? Old millennial. Kanavi gave up. He went back to his grub. The bot lane gank is not happening. And in the meantime, Beichuan has had a completely chilled out clear, right? He's gone the entire way across the map. I'm pretty sure xiaolaohu the top scorer. I think Beichuan got it. But one of his teammates.
I'm pretty sure you're right. Yeah, it was xiaolaohu. So, again, like, kind of nice job here, and Kanavi means that he's kind of left high and dry. Beichuan now just going to show up on bot side. He just wants to try and put a bit of pressure on towards missing and hope, because one of the things...
Oh, the flash forward from Hung. It's a basic ability, and Hope locked up a bit more damage to do the trick, and it's a first blood. Counter gank from Kanavi is too little too late.
I was kind of baffled by Hope there, trying to reset in the bush, and not really sure why, especially with the wave that was going to be able to crash. It's not like he really had the best position there, but now the kill goes away of Lwx. They'll get first shove. Hung, that was a hook, and reset.
He's got an audio issue. Don't worry about it.
Oh, true, yeah, audio issue. But here, like, Hope is resetting the bush. This wave is going to crash, and you know Beichuan's there, so not realizing, obviously, there was a ward in the bush, but still, weird time to try and reset, regardless. So, nice job coming through from FPX, and honestly, good job from Beichuan to read the job that JDG were trying to achieve. Because one of the things Hope can do with Jinx in this matchup specifically is like hard shove wave, reset, pick up a quick pull, and be back before Lwx and Hung can really reset. So the fact that Beichuan got down there allowed Lwx and Hung not only to pick up the kill, but denied that quick call pickup from Hope. And now, one kill down, Lwx set up as per usual for FPX.
Yeah, so far so good for FPX, and it does mean that this bottom lane that we were talking about is Lwx actually flashes forward. I don't know what that was. Hung was not on the same page, I don't think. And I mean, Rob, analysis. Yeah. What just happened?
Lwx inspired by Hung. After all these games together, he too believes that Flash is a basic ability, but the Flash grabbed him, not really setting up with the conga line of minions coming through, but FPX will move back. I just think this is a big target now for Kanavi, right? You have two flashes burned on this bot lane. You have the ability to just flash in on top of them and set up for Hope and Missy. Maybe with the fight.
Realm's coming in. That's going to be a polymorph onto Beichuan. Does get the lantern, and now comes in Galio. Gori setting it up, and Lwx knocking down the pins. That's two for FPX as they chase Missing through the jungle with his tail between his legs. Gori's got the Predator. They'll catch up to the Lulu, or will they? Gets up the tower, actually. But even still, beautiful fight for FPX.
I see this all the time with JDG. They try to take these fights, but they're just not set up to do so. And FPX, they've already got the dragon. They're getting away from this, but FPX managing to turn around with a great ultimate coming through from Gori. Lwx now, 2 kills, 2 plates, a bunch of extra gold in his pocket. Like, look at that, 3,000 gold to 2,000 gold on Hope. Yeah. He's so far ahead now.
That is a disgusting lead in the bottom lane. He already had a pickaxe plus 2 longswords against the Newcomer. He's not even reset yet. Look at the look, because, I mean, the Realm felt like, hey, we're outnumbering, but Galio exists.
Yeah, and that's the big issue here, right? Galio exists. Hope also walking in just onto the edge of that hitbox means it's a 4-man knockup. And from that point forward, the Viego gets the resets. He's getting healing. They're picking off Hope as well, which is the big source of damage. Just a really nice job from Gori there to follow up. And it could have been dangerous, but with that big ult from Gori, that's the real change.
Beautiful stuff from Gori. And again, we keep on talking about how with Gori, it's a matter of like lane phase versus team fight. Well, when you're playing Galio, all you have to do is clear that wave, just exist in the mid lane as 369's looking for a chance on the top lane. Ult's available. Pull the trigger for now, and actually FPX once again on the counterplay. xiaolaohu trying to get in Gori with the Predator, can set up with the taunt here. 369 flash, double flash burn. Gori's going to be happy with that one.
And that's huge for the impending Rift Herald fight, right? You already have the Aphelios, who's just going to stick down on this bottom side, doesn't have to worry about Hope or Missing diving. Hung already moved up towards this Rift Herald, and with the 2 flashes gone, it's just FPX able to control River and pick up Rift Herald nice and easy. So even though they're not quite getting the kills, they're still getting these big advantages. And look at the turrets already taken on the bot side. It feels like Lwx is about to take the first time.
Man, this team play from FPX is just beautiful to see, though. I want to see more Gori Galio. I feel like this is the perfect pick for this team, right? It kind of covers over the issue of the laning phase that we've seen. I mean, there's a WE mid laner that used to do a similar thing, by the way, Galio, I'm just saying. But seriously, this Galio is working beautifully. It seems to cover one of their weaknesses in the early game, and it means that they can just play as a unit the entire game, which is where they're strongest.
And again, kind of going against what JDG and how JDG want to be proactive. as Kanavi. We talked about the 2 flashes being burnt in his bot side. Well, here we go. Hovering around, moving from Yagao as well.
Oh no, he's been spotted. He's been spotted. Hung saw him. Won't be able to pull the trigger. And again, one of the issues of this Lulu, right? You can't really threaten this FPX bot lane in the 2v2, so it's more difficult to get that big wave and crash it under to set up for a dive. Beichuan moving over, has the Herald in his pocket, remember. And now, with Lwx having pushing this bottom side, this is probably going to be the first tower of the game. In comes Beichuan, down goes the Herald. A couple more hits would finish this tower off alongside the Herald charge. And it doesn't look like JDG have anything to say about this one. But that said, Yagao sort of nearby, has round walk, but he doesn't have much mana.
Yeah, I mean, Yagao trying too much to push against Gori, that he doesn't have mana, but also Gori just has his own ult, right? Can actually cover more distance than Yagao right now, so you get that quick turret play for Lwx. That's going to be the Gale Force more than likely completed already at 10 minutes into the game, which is insane for Lwx. And you see 369 trying to get on towards xiaolaohu, but unable to do so just yet.
Can't find this opportunity because, I mean, you can see that 369 is feeling like, I've got to make something happen here. I've got to find an advantage for my team because they're already 3,000 gold down. It's only 10 minutes into the game. So far, it's been beautiful, and it's looking like a little bit more as well as Gori gets onto Yagao. Hung once again flashes. It was available, and he finds the hook as well. Yagao doesn't even get a chance to flash, just outplayed, and now 0-1-0 in that mid lane, and an opportunity for FPX. 20 seconds until the Drake is up. You can move Lwx mid here to fight for priority. Feels like FPX have complete control of absolutely everything.
So, I spotted this right before the play. Actually, might hold on, because Kanavi's still here.
He can find a way in, though. Lantern's still there. Lwx, why are you ulting that, bro? Why were you flashing earlier? What's going on there? Like, he's actually playing well ultimately. Just a couple of these decisions where he's like, I can start a fight on this Lulu, and it's just not happening. FPX get themselves the Drake regardless. Sorry, go on, Dagda, what were you saying?
Am I okay, Beichuan here? But yeah, we're gonna go into the replay real quick, so we'll talk about this. Really nice player, as you said, like Hung, once again using flash perfectly to set up. Just about ekes past the minions with that as well, gets the play, and then predicts Yagao's dash here as well, so sets up beautifully for the kill. But I want to talk about the build that we're seeing from the Graves. The xiaolaohu, I saw the phage and was like, that's a bit of a weird one. And then I looked, he's got Hullbreaker already picked up. This guy is going to go full split push for this game, and I am all on board. So, because we haven't really seen it in a competitive, when no allied champions are within 1,400 units, that's where he can get a bunch of extra stats.
LPX is in trouble here. Kanavi trying to force things. The Wild Growth does get a knock up, but he's gone too deep. Didn't have the damage, and he's just cut through. Beichuan gonna grab himself that kill, and he becomes Jarvan for the moment. Won't be able to find any more though. So another pick for FPX. I don't think it will lead to too much, except maybe a dive in this top lane. 369 does have his ulti though. It's scary to dive at Kennen with ulti.
Yeah, he's no flash though. Hex flash over the wall sets up for Beichuan to come across. I don't know if I want to be here as 369, especially with Galio having pushed mid. He can always disappear up to his top side. But looks like FPX aren't going to pull the trigger. Either way, this game is looking real tough for JDG right now.
Face check it. What about the dude potential 369? Think about the dude potential. Oh, it's a disaster. They weren't even going to go for the dive. He was fine. He just had to sit on the tower. Oh, that's a 3. That's a 3 from me, Dagda. Oh, hang on. It's not over. Kanavi's moving in. Okay, it's over. It's over.
Yeah. I was going to say, Lwx is low, so it might be another roll 3 coming through for the AD carry, but it's going to back away. Yeah, again, like xiaolaohu with this Hullbreaker, like he's going to get a bunch of extra armor and magic resist. He's going to deal extra damage to structures. The siege minions are going to get extra damage, like and resistances. Like this is really strong for split pushing, and it's going to be super interesting to see because we kind of said, hey, look, xiaolaohu can take over in side lanes. You got Gori who can play side as well, so I like this adaptation from xiaolaohu. And especially when FPX are having the run of the mill in the early game, this just feels like a win more opportunity for him in the side where they're not under pressure to actually take fights against you.
Yeah, I mean, like everything. I feel like we were talking about compositions earlier and like potentially playing side lanes versus team fight and all this. I feel like with the lead that FPX have, they're 5,000 going up in 14 minutes. They can play however they damn well please. It doesn't matter what their comp is. It doesn't matter what the enemy comp is. They can just beat them to death with the sack of gold that each of them are carrying.
It's kind of sad for JDG though, right? Like we pointed out in the early game, Yagao, ability to make roams, Kanavi, play down bot. We don't get any of that. Now they're trying to make a play with 369, who is literally, like, you can see the ward. It's right there. You're not going to catch FPX off guard, and they don't even have the push or the wave clear to get in. Yeah, so Beichuan, that is true. But the second you try to move out, you will be spotted. And you can't close that distance fast enough as Kennen. And now FPX, they're on this top side. They'll get ripped. They'll be totally fine here. JDG can't commit, but we're still committing resources from JDG to an objective that's already gone.
That's the crazy thing, is that JDG are trying to contest, well, sort of half trying to contest, right? They don't actually pull the trigger on the contest, but they all moved over. So like you say, the resource is still committed. And in the meantime, xiaolaohu is just pushing away in the side lane. Hung wants to get some vision, needs to be careful once again. Think of the dude potential. That was a 4-dude potential brush right there. But 369 will be retreating back up towards, back down towards that bottom lane as xiaolaohu shoves that wave all the way across the map. Gori pushing in the top side as well. JDG gotta get their ducks in a row here.
It's gonna be kind of hard too, though, right? Like, we haven't really seen them working together as a unit. You've always got the opportunity for Gori to just kind of dip out of vision for a little while and put pressure towards mid. I think the big saving grace here for JDG is Hope, in theory, can just stand in mid lane and clear the makes it really difficult for Lwx to kind of get pressure on towards the turret. Yagao still has good push against Gori inside, so trying to actually move units around the map to try and create numbers advantage is going to be kind of tough. So instead, I think it's going to be at these objectives like the Dragon, where FPX will look for picks before the fight really kicks off, and looks like that's what they're trying to do here against Hope and mid. Shove in, then move into River and see if they can catch people in trouble.
That opportunity to do so. Stun being channeled here. Kanavi, ooh, nice little bit of footwork there. Dodges the stun, dodges the hook, but the Herald goes in regardless into that mid lane. Not quite finished the tower, but it'll prime it for later on as Drake is now up, as you said before. It's an Ocean Soul, which FPX can get themselves on Soul Point. Hope is getting low. He's almost finished off as then Infernum ulti. Actually, no, it was Calibrum ulti. Goes across, Yagao forced away. There's the Drake taken. And without ever fighting, FPX have forced JDG away here. But JDG looking for the fight. Lantern saves the day. There's a... Oh my days, Hug, that was beautiful. Everything played perfectly by the master of Thresh himself. That was magnificent.
That was gorgeous. I mean, he makes it look easy for Lwx. Oh, that Lwx that using it was the Gale Force to get away from 369. Now FPX, they get the third Dragon. They're going to get mid lane turret, and JDG, they just got completely outclassed.
Red team's turret has been destroyed.
We've not even finished the tier 2 tower yet, and Dagda is over. It feels incredibly over. That said, xiaolaohu's overstepped a little bit, but no, he hasn't, because Hung's on the scene. He doesn't even need the lantern. He's not even afraid. He wants a Gromp for himself as well. Realm Warp coming through, but the Gromp has been acquired. 369 behind the team. Lwx the one in trouble here as Hung tries to buy some time. AD carried down. Hung will fall as well, and xiaolaohu has to just bail on this one. JDG finally get themselves a little bit of a bonus. They couldn't finish off Hug. Gale's still used by Hope in the end. At least that's a shutdown going the way of JDG, but my goodness, they're going to need more than that.
Yeah, and I mean, they're losing out in this top lane push as well, right? Gori gets to shut that one in. Beichuan actually maybe looking for a pick with Gori as Kanavi's on his own, but that's a pretty sizable wave lost top. Not as much as, obviously, the gold and experience that's going to come across from Lwx. Oh, the Beichuan.
Oh, he got it. He stole the red buff, I'm pretty sure. Can he get out? He's actually just going to ult over the wall. Kanavi following as well, but that's not a 1v1 he can win. And Beichuan, I'm not going to lie, that was one of the cheekiest available plays on the map, on the entire map. He just goes 2v1 to get that spot.
We're going to get a replay of this mid play, though. Lwx, gorgeous. Like, not only does he sidestep the ult, he then's right there for the Hung Lantern play, stops 369, and It's all gone disastrously, but we do get the replay here where JDG managed to actually get the realm warp here. Good TP in behind by 369. And I think these picks are probably your best way to get back into the game, right? Try and slow down the pace and prevent FPX from cracking open inner turrets and allowing you to continuously just keep these side lanes in check and look for team fights. But I still think it's a long way off before you're really in a position to look for team fights, and you're still heavily reliant on 369 getting these good flanks, and there's just not really the control on the map to get deep wards to set those up.
Yeah, the big concern as well is that when you look at this team, right, yeah, they scale super well. Potentially in the team fights they're on, it can be amazing. Well, the team fight is going to happen in 2 minutes' time because there's already 3 Drakes in the pocket of FPX. They don't have time to scale up. And because of the ridiculous gold lead, because of the collector that's been finished off as a second item here for Lwx, xiaolaohu with 2 items up in that top lane as well. Feels like FPX in a strong position. That said, though, Gori may have overstepped on this one. It's going to be both ultis used by the solo laners of JDG. Another pick back-to-back. Gori, what? He's Galio. How does he just one-shot someone like that? It's 1-for-1. And now FPX completely punish everything. It's a disaster for JDG. I can't believe how wrong this game has consistently gone as another for Lwx. They just can't catch a break.
And now FPX. Baron has just spawned. It only 30 seconds up, but it's already going to go down. Lwx, he's got the damage. He's got perfect guns. And JDG don't have a jungler.
How does Galio do that much damage with just Neverfrost? I'm mind blown, honestly. I was under the impression there was no universe Gori does anything there, but going 1-for-1 somehow. And importantly, Kanavi went down during all of that as well. So even if there was some kind of miracle, Hope's made the effort with the rocket. Like, you got to just go for it. It was blind at the end of the day, but that's the Baron taken. It's 10-3. It's an 8,000 gold lead.
And as you say, Gori here, right? Yes, 369 has some damage, but it's a level down, and then just able to delete them alongside xiaolaohu coming in with the end of the line as well. And at that stage, the entirety of FPX has shown up, and damage control for JDG. Kanavi trying to see if he can lock them up and get himself out. He does for a little bit, but then Lwx shows up.
Yeah, that was magic from Gori, I have to say. I'm impressed by Gori today. He's been doing well for himself. Did they get that blue? No.
No, but they will
get
the dragon.
Oh no, this is not the place you want to be TPing to. It's both solo laners as well. Yagao already there. 369, huge ulti here. Maybe an opportunity. They're so far down in gold though. Do they actually have the damage to finish the kills off? Because Gori's wreaking havoc in the back line. It's 3v3, 2v3 now as JDG are chased down Hope. Locked up forever, but he actually flashes Gori, gets another one. Hope, can he do this? 1v3 with the wild growth taken away, but he just don't have the damage. And FPX just on gold difference alone win another fight.
And that was it. That was the perfect fight for JDG, but because of how far ahead FPX are, stopwatches come in, they keep members alive for so damn long, and now FPX, they're pushing in bot, they're getting the soul, they're getting everything much. I just don't see how JDG can come back. That was everything that they could have hoped for. You're watching here in the replay, right? The double TP, Yagao comes in first, you get the entirety of FPX apart from Gori set up in this, but you see there, right? Lwx, he's got the stopwatch, he stays alive for so long. They're trying their best here with Yagao doing the AoE damage on the wall, but it's just not enough. The survivability is there. Gori's been an absolute menace to Hope, so he can't follow up on the fight either. It's all just messy for JDG.
Gori was the MVP of that fight, right? Stopping Hope being able to follow up, because I'm not going to lie, that was a hell of an ult. Oh, the hug! Hug is just too good at Thresh, man. I can't get enough of watching this man play Thresh. Every single time it's available, he flashes, he hooks, and he hits it every single damn time. In the meantime, hey, 369, he's got himself a bounty turret. We take those. JDG having a rough one, but at least showing us that, look, they can make these ones happen. That was beautiful. I know. It doesn't turn into anything, but it was still beautiful.
I'm just laughing at Hope. Like, it's so unnecessary. They're already dead. There's nothing left. He's just like, time to just style on JDG. And honestly, that's what FPX are doing, right? 369 trying to push in. Bot will get the bounty on the turret, but you're losing your entire base while he tries to.
Yeah, I'm not sure this was a valuable trade. Taunt comes across the team as well, and now the rest of the damage to follow up. Lwx is very far forward here. He's just being hammered away on by Hope. He's got the GA, so it doesn't matter. He's got an Ocean Soul. He's back on his feet, and now he's got a Severum as well to heal back up with. I thought that could be disastrous. By the way, 369 is just chilling in the bottom lane. We had a base. What do we need a base for, guys? Don't worry about it. He's finally arrived on the scene. Has a Void Staff. Maybe this is it. Has his ultimate available. Has Flash available. He's got to find an opportunity. Look at FPX spreading out so he can't get the grouped up ulti. 369. Now or never. It goes for the ulti, but he's locked up on the side and he can't even move. FPX finishing off in style as they dismantle JDG in game number 1 of this series and get themselves a convincing.
And honestly, Munch, I think the writing was on the wall from the get-go. 369 was using the Damn 1 skin. We see what happens with Damn 1 when they play against LPL teams. Honestly, we should have just seen it from the start, you know? But honestly, phenomenal performance from FPX. Come in, playing down towards the bot side like we expected, setting up Lwx for success. Very little that can actually be done by JDG's bot side, just with the Jinx and the Lulu not quite being able to play through the fact that they're pushing waves. Kanavi, I think, not really finding much in the way of those early game setups that we talked about, and Yagao not really roaming from the mid lane either. So these early skirmishes end up going in favor of FPX. And from that point forward, there's just nothing really left in the tank then for JDG.
Do you know, it's dawned on me, Dagda. You've just brought up the Damn 1 skin, right, on the Kennen.
Yeah.
It goes deeper because they were up against FPX. That was 369 using Nuguri's skin, the previous FPX top laner against FPX. This was mind games from 369. And he may not have won the actual game, but he's won the mental game. And what's more important, really? Points or
Are you saying
mental?
This is as close as we get to the symbolic representation of xiaolaohu surpassing Nuguri? Is that what we're trying to get at, like in a poetic sense?
I mean, look, I'm not saying xiaolaohu is the best top laner in the world, but I'm not ruling it out of the equation. That's all.
I've just never seen xiaolaohu as the best top laner in the world in the same room together, you know?
Right?
Actually, that was a bit of a burn.
LWX.
Wait, I didn't think of that. I was just...
Oh, yeah. Well, okay, me and Dagda are on different pages here. Let's talk about the game, though. 11,500 gold lead in 25 minutes to finish things out. Let's be honest, this is a shellacking. This is absolute domination by FPX. And, you know, the big criticism of FPX has been their early game. Not in this one. They looked amazing from start to finish. I'm loving this Galio from Gori. I feel like this is maybe bannable against FPX now after a performance like that. Maybe other teams can figure out how to beat it, but in that game, Gori just read JDG like a book the entire time.
Yeah, and honestly, I think definitely an MVP candidate for this game. I think he played really, really well. Probably MVP would just go over towards Lwx because bigger number, better person. But honestly, I think Gori, as he said, set it up beautifully for FPX.
Faced hung though, with his hooks, with his flashes. I mean, what more can you ask of a Thresh? What more can you ask? We're going into a break. We'll find out who the MVP is right after this.